What's up everybody, Super Gearbox fan here for another car review. This is of course the 2002 Honda S2000. Huge thanks to my buddy Mike for hooking me up with his S2000 to review for you guys today. So about the S2000, well this is probably the most requested car. You guys are always begging and pleading for me to review an S2000. We're finally making it happen. I'm so excited. So I mean, yeah, it looks great. I love this car. I mean, it's been around for over a decade now, and I think it still looks really good. I mean, obviously they've aged a little bit, but I think it's still just the proportions and everything with the long front hood here and the short deck lid and everything. It looks great. And I mean, these cars were just an engineering marvel for the time. A 2-liter engine that has 240 horsepower in this car. I mean, that's amazing. It's 120 horsepower per liter. I think that was just beat by the Ferrari 458 when that came out. But I mean, this car, it's seriously amazing. And the fact that it's so bulletproof, this one has 150,000 miles on it practically, and it's still running strong. So, I mean, that just tells you about the Honda reliability. Of course, these things are bulletproof, and it's just really impressive. But I think it looks spectacular still, even after all this time. Right, so for the interior of the S2000, well, the first thing you notice is there's no roof. Convertible, obviously unlimited headroom. That's very cool to have, of course. But, getting in this car, everything feels really solid. Again, like this car, 2002, I mean, we're talking about a 12-year-old car and everything is still so tight and solid. That's really impressive, and so I just gotta really hand it to Honda for that alone. So I mean, you sit down in this car and I mean, it's pretty small. Everything is very driver-centric and basic. I mean, this car obviously isn't about gizmos or anything like that, so everything is very simplistic. All the controls are driver-oriented. There really is no actual center of the dashboard. There's no normal center stack like you get in most cars. All the controls are either to the left of the steering wheel or to the right of the steering wheel. So on the left-hand side of the steering wheel is where you find your audio controls, volume, and the engine start buttons over here, of course. There is a little cubby here that hides your actual head unit, and you can change things on there as well. But it's nice to have everything right here, right next to the steering wheel. It's a very cool idea. And then the rest is just climate controls, which is right here in this little thing on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. And you have your fan speed, temperature, what vents you want to use, and then air conditioning and recycling button. That's it. I mean, you have a cruise control button and rear defroster, and that's it as far as buttons go. I mean, it's really simplistic, driver-oriented, but it's really cool. Right, so for the seats in the S2000 here, they're pretty good. So nice leather wrapped, of course, and they also have pretty good torso bolsters that just give you a little bit of wiggle room, but they hug you pretty nicely. The thigh bolsters could be a little bit thicker, but they're not bad. I mean, the seat's comfortable and can't really complain. Steering wheel in this car is really nice, actually. It's the perfect size. They have really nice cutouts here for the 9-3 grip. It gives you one of the best 9-3 grips in recent memory, in my opinion. Not much of a 10-2 notch, but I mean, you're mostly supposed to be at 9-3 anyway, so that's totally fine. Nice, and it's like perfect thickness, nicely leather wrapped and simple. All you have on the steering wheel as far as controls go is for your cruise control, and that's it. So that's really a lovely wheel. Gear shifter in this car is also really small. It's a little bit higher up though, because you're sitting lower in this car, and the gear shifter is higher than it would be in a standard car like a WRX or something like that. But it's really cool, and I'll talk more about that as I get going as far as driving and stuff goes. Right, so as far as storage space goes in this car, obviously it's going to be limited. You could have probably guessed that. There's a tiny little net here in the door, and then as far as cup holders, you have one cup holder, and he doesn't even use it as a cup holder. You can just store some papers and stuff in there. You have a little change holder here, and then this car has no glove box. So instead of a glove box, you have this little thing here, which is can fit some stuff, and that's also where your trunk release is. But then there's also this little thing you lift up, and then there's some more storage there. You can fit your owner's manuals and things like that in there. Gauges in this car are very cool. All digital, and that was before all digital was the norm like it is these days. And it looks really great. I just love, I mean, it goes to 9,000 RPMs, and that whole thing lights up in these multicolored lights, and nice big speedometer. And the owner of this car actually mentioned it's kind of cool whenever you're driving, because you don't actually have to look at the tachometer to know where you're at in the power band. You just kind of see this light illuminating, so you can have your eyes on the road and still kind of have a good idea of what your engine's doing if you couldn't hear it already. The trunk in this car actually isn't too bad. It's small, obviously, but it's not super small. It's usable, and they actually were pretty ingenious with the way they designed the lower wells of the trunk, because it's designed so that if you get a flat tire, not only there's a spare back there, which is impressive for the size of the car as well, but if you take the spare tire out and put it on, if that whole well is big enough, you can fit the normal wheel in there. So instead of having to put it in the passenger seat or something, they designed it so that you can still, you know, just go on your way and you don't have to kick your passenger out if you get a flat tire. So that's thoughtful of them. All right, so let's take it for a drive and see how it does. You know, just a little keyless entry, but it still has a basic key. But this car, like I said, has a push button start. So what you do is foot on the clutch, obviously, turn it on, and then hit the button and it starts right up. All right, so setting off in the S2000. First thing you notice is the driving position in this car, which is really good. The hood slants forward so you can see ahead of you on the road very well, and it's really a great driving position. I love it, actually. Obviously, open top. I just adore convertibles. Hopefully one day I'll own a convertible something. This is just great, though. It's just open air experience. You can't, there's no moonroof or anything that can match that. It's just, it's so amazing to have. The ride so far is pretty smooth, too. I mean, this road isn't the smoothest, and, you know, no complaints, really. Yeah, let's turn on to this back right here and see how it does. That sound! Oh man, I love it. So VTEC in these cars, you have to, you know, wait and wait and wait, and then it gives you the power, you know? These aren't the torquiest motors. Oh man, but it's just, it's so dramatic. The theater behind it all is just amazing. And that induction noise. And I'm going around corners, if you can't tell, and handling, the steering is the perfect weight. And when you stomp on it, it puts you back in your seat. I mean, okay, this has been cruising, and then it just back and forth. It pulls. I mean, the throttle response is so good, and that induction sound is just intoxicating to hear. Oh man, is it sweet. These are really, really popular, and there's a good reason why. I mean, I've been driving it for, you know, a minute, and I already love it. I actually, about 5 years ago, came really close to buying one. I drove one around all day and fell in love with it. I just couldn't bring myself to buy a car without back seats, and I was worried about snow driving here in Pittsburgh. Oh man, but if you don't have to worry about any of that stuff, this thing is a gem, an absolute gem. While we're just cruising sedately though here, you know, the wind buffeting isn't bad in here. I mean, you can hear me pretty well. You can carry on a conversation like normal in here for the most part, and it's not obnoxious. I mean, I'm going like 40 miles an hour now, and it's really pretty good for a convertible, I have to say. You have a little wind deflector up there that kind of keeps down the buffeting, and it's really nice. Another thing about this car that's great is, you know, it feels pretty small when you're driving it too. So, you know, this lane feels nice and wide, and you know, you have plenty of room, and in this car it feels small. It's not like Lotus Elise small, but it does feel nice and small. The steering just feels so tight and so buttoned down. It's just so confidence inspiring. I love it. All right, so let's see about this power again, shall we? It just screams! Just screaming! Oh man, this VTEC is so sweet. And you just gotta keep it in that good part of the power band, and it cooks! I mean, it cooks, man! It's insane! I love these. I've always loved these. Any of you that have asked me in the past what I think about S2000s, I always say I adore them. I love them. They're great. And I'm so happy to be back in one again. This is just... And it's so natural feeling. The steering is the perfect weight. I mean, the pedals do exactly what you want them to do. They feel good. The seat holds you in well. You're comfortable. You have the open air experience. I mean, it has it all, and it just does everything perfectly. I mean, I'll be driving this car around here for a while, and I'll come back and give you some updated impressions. But I mean, so far, there's no faults. There's no faults. I mean, yeah, the torque might get on your nerves. You know, the lack of torque, I should say. But I mean, on back roads, just leave it in the lower gear and just have fun. But yeah, I'll leave it. I'm gonna go around this tight corner here, show you the body roll here. Bumpy, 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 but oh man, is it good. It is darn good. Whew. So anyway, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna drive this car around, yeah, a while longer here, and I'll come back and give you some updated impressions. All right, so I've been driving this car for a while now, and I don't know, this thing is just so good. Everything about it is so good. One thing that I didn't mention in the first half of the review that I'll talk about now is the gearbox, which is very, very short throws. The shortest throws you'll probably ever experience are in this car. And it's very precise though, it's very mechanical, it feels very specific, very exact, and I like that about it. It's every once in a while, if I'm shifting into second quickly, it'll like almost grind, you know, just because it's that short of a shift, but it's a spectacular transmission. And I mean, like I said, everything about this car is just so well thought out, so well executed, and it's just intoxicating. I mean, like, this car is basically all stock. He just took this stock airbox off, so there's no covering there, but it's still the stock intake. And I mean, so that's the only thing as far as sound goes. But this car, when you're on full throttle, it gets loud. And I mean, stock exhaust and everything, and still that induction noise, it's such an intoxicating sound. I forgot just how good it sounded. It's really, I mean, and with the open top and everything, it's just spectacular. And on these back roads here, you know, one thing I thought I would be lacking is torque, but you're not. The reason why you're not is because the car is so light. And it's still more powerful than like the BRZ, which is what I'm used to power-wise from back when I had mine. And I mean, so obviously, yeah, it's not the most torquey motor, and they address that. If you want more torque, get the AP2 version from 2004 on, and you'll have more torque. But these ones are great because it revs to 9,000 RPMs. You lost that with the AP2. The AP2 is still fun, but these AP1s are it's just even more dramatic, I think, and I love it. I absolutely love this car. So, I mean, I really can't give it much higher praise. I'm just going to carve up a few more back roads here, let you guys hear this amazing sound. Rev matching's easy. All the pedals are great. It's got good balance too. That's one thing I haven't said yet. The balance is excellent as well. Tight corners. You can feel it when it's starting to go a little loose. And then it just screams. Scream, scream, scream. Another tight corner. Little sideways, and then boom. Just there's the VTEC. $6 grand all the way up to 9. Woo! You cannot match that in any other car. The S2000 is entirely unique. There's other cars that are exciting and thrilling in other ways, but revving any engine at the 9,000, especially this one with the sound and the package of everything, I mean, hands down, 10 out of 10. That's it. It's awesome. And yeah, these are spectacular. They're absolutely spectacular. I think it's one of the best cars of the decade, in my opinion. It's that good. These are going to go down as being legendary. They're going to be collectible very soon. I mean, you cannot go wrong buying one of these, that is for sure. So yeah, huge thanks to my buddy Mike for finally making this review happen. I'm so thankful that he let me drive his car with 150,000 miles basically, and it still performs like this. That's the amazing thing. 150,000 miles, and this motor still sings to 9,000 RPMs effortlessly, absolutely effortlessly, and that's really, really impressive. So, yeah. Thank you, Honda, for giving us this car. Please make a successor now. This car's been discontinued for a while now. We need a new one. There needs to be one of these made all the time. Honda knows how to make a good sports car. They need to start doing it again. The SIs are fun, but it's a Civic. An all-out sports car like this again in 21st century modern technology would just be mind-blowingly good. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. And what the heck? Let's do another acceleration.